Hi, everybody. I'm jumping the gun a little bit. I said I wouldn't start for a few minutes, but here I am. I'm actually at our office in our green screen studio. There's no staff here, so of course I have no idea how to operate the CGI backdrop. So it's just the green screen. The green screen, this is what the studio looks like. Normally, there's some computer generated background there, but now it's just a place for me to sit. I wanted to go online and talk about three remarkable things that have happened in the last 24 hours. The first is Dave Barrett, some academic at the University of Calgary, has published an apology to our reporter Sheila Gunn Reid for calling her falsely and in a defamatory way for calling her a Nazi. Now, of course, Sheila is not a Nazi. In fact, she's sort of the opposite. She's a philo-Semite. I've personally been to Israel with her and even to Yad Vashem. That's the National Holocaust Memorial and Museum there. And on her own accord, when Sheila was in Poland doing other work, she was there to cover a global warming conference. She, on her own decision, went to Auschwitz and did a very touching video there. I know that in her personal life, she's a philo-Semite. She's a Catholic in the mold of Pope John Paul II who has an affinity for Jews. So to call Sheila a Nazi is unacceptable. It's false and it's defamatory, but it was the go-to insult for this lazy leftist, Dave Barrett, who I frankly had never heard of before. Like, there was a great Dave Barrett, the NDP Premier of British Columbia, a very funny guy. I mean, he was a socialist. I didn't agree with him, but you could say he was a great man. He was an accomplished man. He was a man of public service. This Dave Barrett is a nothing. He's just some, academic at U of Calgary who thought he would just throw an insult instead of debate Sheila. I know Sheila. She'll give as good as she gets. She's up for any debate. But this loser, Dave Barrett, thought he would call her a Nazi instead, and he was dumb enough to do it in his own name, and his biography made it easy to find him. So Sheila and we at The Rebel had our lawyer send him a libel notice, which is generally a precursor to a lawsuit, and he ignored that. I don't know. Did he think we were kidding? I guess he did, or maybe he was what Nadim Taleb would call an idiot yet intellectual, or intellectual yet idiot, IYI. A guy who's super smart but just doesn't have any common sense. So he ignored the libel notice, and so we sued him. And then he said, oh, duh, maybe I should pay attention. And he realized he had no case, and that it would be not only costly but embarrassing for him to go to court and try to prove the truth of his false statement. So, it wasn't really about a financial win. It was about don't do that. It was about this. It was about him correcting the record, which he had refused to do, apologizing, which he had refused to do, and making a symbolic payment. $1,200. No one's going to get rich off that, but it's more than it's something. And the apology, which must be pinned to his Twitter page for 30 days, and you can read it there. It's about the specific deterrent. I don't think Dave Barrett's going to take a run at Sheila anytime soon. And it's about the general deterrent. And what I mean by that is, I hope other people see that and say, oh, okay, maybe I won't call Sheila a Nazi. Maybe I won't call anyone of the Rebel a Nazi. I'm a Jew. Personally, it would be absurd to call me a Nazi. Maybe I won't call any conservative a Nazi. Maybe I'll actually try and answer their arguments. And so that's my hope. And so that's the first story, is to explain what happened yesterday. The second thing, which is ever more surprising, Sheila tweeted a little explanation of Dave Barrett's apology, and Sheila just sent me the Twitter analytics. Do you know what I mean by that? That shows how many times a tweet has been viewed. And in less than 24 hours, Sheila's tweet has been viewed more than 2 million times. 2 million times. Why? I mean, I have to say, leftists calling conservatives Nazis is not very rare. It's unfortunately not rare. A $1,200 settlement, I mean, it stings, no doubt, but it's not like a $100,000 payout. The apology is wholehearted, but it's not groveling. It's not like a self-harm or embarrassment. Well, it's just it's a short apology. The 30-day pinning to Twitter, it's not even that big a deal. So why did 2 million people view it and counting? Like every second someone else is viewing it and probably retweeting it. Why? So I told you the facts. Some loser, intellectual yet idiot, instead of arguing with Sheila, just threw the word Nazi at her. We sued him. He didn't really believe it at first. I think he didn't believe it and he didn't know what to do about it. He was pretty brave when he was thought he was like an anonymous loser on Twitter. But when we took him away from the herd and said, hey, come to court with us, let's have a good discussion in front of a judge, he said, uh-oh, I actually have to back up what I say. I think the reason 2 million people read Sheila's tweet alone, and I've tweeted about it, and then there's all the people who have looked at Barrett's tweet. I mean, I have to say, I think 5 million people have viewed between Sheila's single tweet, and she's done about 10 tweets on it. I've done a bunch, and then there's Barrett's original tweet himself. I think maybe 5 million people have seen this. Now, my first reaction is, wow, this is not a 5 million person story. I mean, we've had 5 million person stories. This ain't one of them. But it is. Not because some loser said the word Nazi. That's a dime a dozen. I mean, get in line, you uncreative smearer losers. It's the first time someone's fought back. That's why 5 million people have watched. Would you agree with me on that? It is completely unnewsworthy that some leftist calls a conservative a Nazi. Like, seriously, I could go online and if you had like a ticker, it would be like an odometer going ring, 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 tick, 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 tick. It would be like several every second. But someone saying, you know what? David Barrett of the University of Calgary's something something faculty, you're wrong, you're defamatory, let's go to a judge and let's see what the law has to say. I can't even think of the last time that was done. Like, I mean, actually I do know the last time that was done because I know too much about defamation law. It's done extremely rarely. In fact, one of the leading cases on calling people Nazis in Canada is the case of David Lethbridge was a defendant, and that's like 30 or 40 years ago. Like, it doesn't happen often. By the way, that Lethbridge case, I'm going from memory here, someone actually was a racist, but the judge at the time said, a guy can be a racist, but he's not a Nazi. Like, the judge actually distinguished between the two. Of course, Sheila is neither, but Dave Barrett knows that. Like, here's the thing, Dave Barrett did not say, no, I swear she is, here's my evidence. Of course not. Dave Barrett knew and knows that Sheila is not a Nazi. Of course he knows that. He's using it because it's the sharpest stabby knife he could find. That's what makes it so appalling, is that it's a bad faith accusation. I don't call people Nazi that often, but if I do, it's because I think they're a Nazi or Nazi-like. I don't even call people communist that often. I don't think the word communist is as insulting. Frankly, there's people on the left who are proud. I mean, there's registered Communist Party of Canada. I don't even call people communists unless I really think they are. Because I'm just not going to use that as a catch-all insult. If I'm trying to catch-all insult, I'll call someone an idiot or something like that. But if you use Nazi, that's a term of art. That's a specific meaning. And look, Dave Barrett's an intellectual yet idiot. but even he's not dumb enough to actually think Sheila Gunn Reid is a Nazi, but he said it out of malice, specifically because he wants to tap in to the meaning of the Holocaust and weaponize it against his secular enemies. So it's a twofold moral failing on Dave Barrett's part. On the one part, he's smearing Sheila, who was not a Nazi. On the other, he is diluting and diminishing what the Nazis really did to their real victims. He's stealing the meaning of the words from those who deserve it and weaponizing it against someone who doesn't. Sheila fought back. Now, I want to tell you something that anyone who's involved with litigation, anyone who's a lawyer, and anyone who maybe thinks it through probably knows. I have to say, we spent more than $1,200 on the lawsuit. Now, why would we do that? Why would we spend $1,200 on a lawsuit that yielded $1,200 for Sheila? Well, the same reason we sued Dion Buse, the criminal who pushed Sheila, who punched her camera that hit her face 3 years ago almost 3 years ago in Edmonton. It's not about the money. It's about you can't punch people you don't like. You can't call us Nazis. It's about standing up for morals and principles. And frankly, from my point of view, standing up for our team. And we sue anyone who physically assaults our reporters. And we are suing anyone who calls us Nazis. We're just going to sue them all. And that's the third point today. My first point was just to explain what happened. My second was to give you my theory of why 5 million people have been watching this, because it's not that interesting. Dave Barrett is not that interesting a man. His insult was not that interesting. It was pretty generic. But Sheila and Rebel News fighting back, that is interesting, isn't it? And Dave Barrett finally coming to his senses, that is interesting, isn't it? And we're going to keep doing this. In fact, we have more actions afoot, and I'm not quite ready to publicize them yet, but they're bigger than some no-name loser like Dave Barrett. And I mean, let me just say this to all our critics. If you want a list of things to criticize us for, I'll help you out. I can think of 10 very legitimate criticisms of me and Rebel News and our staff and our views and our company. Absolutely, have at it. If you need help, and you probably don't, I can give you some tips. But being Nazis ain't one of them. And so if you won't take the time to thoughtfully articulate your criticisms of us, as pokey and pointy as you can make them, if you're going to reach for the word Nazi word, let me just give you a word of advice, mate. Don't do it. I mean, don't call Sheila Nazi. You're gonna wind up paying her. I mean, for God's sakes, the woman has helped lead missions to Israel that include a visit to Yad Vashem. She's gone to Auschwitz and done a video there. You're not going to win that one. And if you're going to try and call me a Nazi, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's absurd. Maybe I'll come to court with my rabbi brother, my Israeli other brother, my mom who co-started a synagogue, my cousin who co-started it. Like, let's pack the court with rabbis and let's have a little debate. Am I a Nazi or am I not? That's not going to go very far, is it? That's absurd, of course. But my message to any leftist watching is you don't want that. You don't want to go to court and have to try and argue that Ezra Levant is a Nazi. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work. So save yourself the trouble. Criticize us for a whole bunch of other legitimate reasons. Have accurate facts and honest opinions based on them. That's the thing that gets me about Dave Barrett. He did not honestly think Sheila was a Nazi. He knows she's not. He knows that I don't even think there really are Nazis in Canada. Maybe there's like a dozen play-acting Nazis and maybe a dozen undercover cops and informants. Dave Barrett knew Sheila wasn't a Nazi, but he reached for that sharp knife anyways, and we whacked him. And we're going to keep doing that until it's done. And I see even today, in reaction to our news, that some really dumb leftists are saying, no, they can't mean it. And they're dipping their toe in the water. Don't do it, mate. Don't do it. We're gonna name every one of you, and we'll bring you to court, and you can explain why you think Ezra Isaac Levant, graduate of the Yud Lamed Parrot Shul, Jewish school, Ezra Isaac Levant, former board member of the Canada-Israel Committee, you can explain to a judge how I'm a Nazi. I mean, again, it's not funny. I'm laughing because who would do that? That would be like calling a black man, you know, a Klan, a member of the KKK. You're not going to win that one, buddy. But there are people out there who think that this is, I don't know, maybe they want to be locked into litigation. Maybe they want to get to know me a little bit. I don't know, but we're just drawing the line now. And I don't want to. I mean, I'd rather if people made other criticisms. I'd rather if people did not defame me as a Nazi. But I just got to tell you, if you do, we're going to take you to court. And I even see today that people are going to test that, and you'll see how the test goes. I want to tell you that in this vein, about 10 days ago, we filed a lawsuit in Edmonton against a dozen people who deplatformed us. Rebel News had booked 2 theaters in Alberta, one in Calgary, one in Edmonton. We paid the rent in full in advance for a book signing for my own book, actually, The Libranos. And a bunch of leftists, frankly, similar in malice to the people who would call us Nazis, they pressured the theater owner to breach the contract. And he did. He ripped up the contract. He didn't let us in, even though he took my money. He still hasn't given it back, which is really weird. So we're suing the theaters, which makes me a little bit sad because I really like those theaters, and I've done events there before, and they've been great successes. And I would frankly want to do events there in the future, but I don't think I can. So we're suing Mike Brar, the theater owner, for breach of contract. But we've named about a dozen other people for inducing breach of contract. One of the people we named is Jessica Littlewood, a former MLA. One of the people we named is a professor at the University of Alberta. One of the people we named is a professional activist with Progress Alberta. I think there's 12 defendants altogether. So we're going to hit them all. Just not even a month ago, there was some guy who, his name is Canadian Cynic, that's his nickname online, Robert Day. He went all the way to the Supreme Court, and we won 4 times in a row. He falsely said we stole money from a charity in Fort McMurray. I mean, he used slightly different words. It was outrageous. We're suing him. I wish he would have corrected, but he dug in his heels. The Hudson's Bay Company stole our trademark, Make Canada Great Again. We sued them, and they settled, and they agreed to pay us all the profits from selling hats that said Make Canada Great Again. I guess what I'm saying is, maybe it's because I'm a former lawyer myself. Maybe it's just because I'm tired of it, but I just will not let people punch our reporters. I won't let people call our reporters Nazis. I won't let people steal our stuff. I won't let people defame us. I won't let people deplatform us. Now, that's a lot of litigation, and I don't want to do that. I want to spend my time and my budget on journalism. I mean, it's sort of dumb that we're talking about a lawsuit, a defamation lawsuit right now. Instead of, you know, we got a reporter who just landed in Hong Kong yesterday. Kian Bexty's doing great. You can see all his videos at hongkongreports.com. In fact, he hooked up with our friend Avi Yamini, who was there a few months ago for us. So I think that's very exciting news, that we're on the ground in Hong Kong doing reports, and you can see that at hongkongreports.com. Sheila Gunn Reid is about to go on a very exciting journey for us. I won't reveal to you the details until later for security reasons. And I can tell you that in about 2 weeks, Kian and Sheila are both going to Madrid, Spain, to cover the UN conference there, the big UN global warming conference. So look at all that journalism in Hong Kong, in a place I'm not going to name right now, in Madrid, Spain, at the UN conference. There's so much journalism going on. We just brought aboard someone who did her first video for us yesterday. Abigail Hammond is her name, and I think she's going to do great. So there's a lot of real journalism going on. So it's a bit of a distraction to sue these defamers, but I got to tell you, we're going to sue every single one, every single one. I'd rather do other things, but that's just what we're going to do. All right, I've been yapping for about 20 minutes. Let me try and read some chats, and feel free to do a super chat if you like. Slick Bastard said Ezra Levant equals real journalism. Well, that's nice of you to say. Credit goes to our reporters in the field. Peter Furness, Ezra, please continue to bring us real news. Well, you know, it's funny you say that, because when Kian and Sheila are going to Madrid for the Global Warming Conference, they are absolutely going to be the only journalists in the place who are giving you accurate news as opposed to the UN propaganda. Scott Coulter, Dutch master, it's time to reverse the role. I don't know what you mean, but if you mean going on the offense instead of the defense, then I agree with you. McDonald's farmer, Vinnie Luke, were you say, I missed that one. Manny 100% says boo. I don't know what that means. I'll stick around for a few more minutes if there's any other questions. Scott Coulter gives a thumbs up. Scott, no, it's not. It's time to stand on principles. Well, that's the thing. What kind of prophecy? I don't know if he was actually teaching prof. Dave Barrett, I think he was some sort of researcher in marine something. They call me nobody, says the Rebel is the last bastion of truth in Canadian media. Well, that's nice of you to say. I think there's a few others out there. I like those guys at True North, you know, Candace Malcolm, Anthony Fury, Andrew Lawton. I think they're really good. In fact, they fought with us in federal court for free speech, as you know. Red Pill Cuck, Alberta 51 2020, Trump 2020. Well, we just had some really big Wexit town hall meetings in Alberta. They were packed. I support Rebel, but this looks bad, says W Watch 7. Well, I disagree with you. I'm just sort of sick of our people having their lives destroyed, their reputations destroyed by liars who know it's not true. Like, you can have any opinion. You can say, I don't like you because, or you're wrong because, but to say that we're Nazis, it's a factual statement that's just, it's the opposite of true. And the thing is, if you say, like Sheila Gunn Reid, let's say someone doesn't know her, and let's say that everyone starts saying she's a Nazi, God forbid. Someone who Googles her might come up, and they'd say, oh my God, I don't want anything to do with Sheila, she's a Nazi. When in fact, the opposite is true, right? Diamond Dog 257, a Jewish honey badger, good for Rebel. Yeah, you know, I think that's really funny, the honey badger, that narrated video always makes me laugh. But yeah, we're gonna fight. Brian the Dog, poutine for you too, my friend, yeah. Chaotix, isn't the percentage of Liberal voters in Canada only like 20%? No, it's in the last election, they got mid-30s. Daryl Block, agreed, we're entitled to our opinions. Keep freedom of speech. Yeah, have your opinions. Listen, it's absolutely okay to not like the Rebel, to disagree with the Rebel, to hate the Rebel even, to say mean things about us, to hurt our feelings. But none of that is factual defamation when you don't call Sheila a Nazi. It's so not true. Donna Dela, Ezra, you look tired. I sort of am tired. I mean, I was up, I won't lie, I was watching the Jack Ryan series, and I finished season 1 at around 4 a.m. last night. It was a stupid waste of time. So yeah, I'm a little bit tired. Ilya P, 20% total eligible, 30% of those that voted. Look, I don't know where you're getting those numbers from. Peter Toth, Trudeau is attacking gun owners again. Will he expose their misguided actions? Oh, we always do. We cover that beat. They call me nobody. There's only free speech. It comes without conditions. Well, I'm going to disagree very slightly with you. For example, forgery. You could claim that's a form of free speech, right? Forging a signature on a check? No, because the central pith and substance of what you're doing is not expressing yourself by forging a name on a check. It's robbing someone. Same with fraud. I mean, you could lie and say, oh no, fraud is a form of speech. I mean, theoretically, going into a bank and saying your money or your life, theoretically, that's free speech. But no, it's not. That's absurd. I mean, use your common sense. The pith and substance of that is a robbery. Uttering a death threat, that's a form of free speech. No, it's not. It's a crime because the central substance of it is the threat, the violence. And same thing with calling Sheila a Nazi. It's just false and defamatory, and we're sort of done with it. Scott Coulter, about time we had someone fight for righty. There you go. Shauna Moore, Ezra, you are a farmer, a man outstanding in this field, rebel on. All right. Cody Hone, stay brave. We'll do our best. Slick Bastard, you have thousands upon thousands of supporters here in England. Well, you know, it's funny you say that because I was in the UK about 2 weeks ago and I saw Tommy at the Masters Chambers, and the state of free speech there is very perilous. In fact, I go there and I think it's like I'm in a time machine. And I think if we don't fix things in Canada, we're going to be like that. And I don't even know if it's fixable in the UK. I just don't know. Happy Harry Hardon, I don't know how much longer we can stand living here in California. I mean, California has so many wonderful things. I just don't know if the political culture has gone too far. They call me nobody. Hit the like button, people. I nearly forgot what. It's nice you to say. Slick Bastard, I use my free speech, Ezra, and hang the improper government. Lightning Rod, free speech is dispensed from the end of a rifle. You know it, I know it. Well, I mean, the United States, they say the Second Amendment, the gun rights, is there to protect the First Amendment, your free speech rights. And there is something to that. Every tyrant in the world, one of the first things they do is grab the radio station and grab the guns. Allison, thank you for your hard work. I'm very concerned about the UN Global Compact for Migration. Well, you know, we sent David Menzies to cover the actual UN conference in Marrakesh on that. Kimmy, Alberta, Wexit Now. Well, we had 2 great town hall meetings in Alberta. In fact, just, what am I saying, just a few days ago, Tuesday night in Edmonton, Wednesday in Calgary. Sold out in Calgary, almost sold out in Edmonton, about 1,000 people between the 2 cities. John Callahan, love your fighting spirit. Keep it up. Thank you. Dude just tweeted, Sheila didn't win. I just settled to avoid the lawsuit. Whatever, dude. We got the apology, and it doesn't even matter what went on in his head, what his rationale was. He admitted that it wasn't true. I mean, surely he's not saying. I mean, I saw the tweet you're referring to. Surely, what he is definitely not doing is saying that Sheila is a Nazi. Because were he to say that now, it would be a very bad thing for him legally, because he's already admitted it's not true. And we know it's not true. Chaotix, what's Wexit? That stands for Western Exit, or Western Canada. Some of the provinces are talking about getting out. I'm going to stick around for just a minute and a half more. Ezra, thank you for the support of Tommy Robinson. It's because of your support for Real News and Tommy that I heard about you. Well, I got to tell you, helping Tommy was really a big milestone or achievement or something I'm proud of in my whole public life. I've done a lot of things I'm really proud of, but when he was thrown in prison and had no one to really help him, mustering the crowdfunding and getting that appeal going and getting him out of prison was one of the most important things I think I've ever done in my public life. I just believe that, and I really enjoyed the process. And I became friends with Tommy. I mean, we were sort of friends. We were sort of like work friends before that, but now we're friends, and it was very fulfilling. And I believe in free speech, and I have this feeling that if someone is being silenced, I have a tendency to want to help them keep their voice. Diamond 257, you're big in England, Ezra. I love going to England, and I always like seeing friends there. Unfortunately, I'm going there too much for the wrong reasons. I mean, Tommy still has 2 trials going on. He has he's being prosecuted by the Crown prosecutors and the police. to keep him out of any soccer games. That's they call it football over there. And he's being hit with a defamation claim too. I'll just take two more comments. If Alberta goes solo, we will add a right to bear arms. Well, I'm sure that's probably quite likely. Update on Rebel News media ban lawsuit by Trudeau, by Kirk Megg. Thank you very much. Well, I should tell you, and thank you for asking. I just literally, yesterday, Friday, spoke to our lawyers on that. And as you know, we won the injunction. It was amazing. And the court ordered the Debates Commission to let us in the debate. But very, very weirdly, Trudeau's Debates Commission is appealing that emergency injunction, even though the debates have come and gone. I don't even know how that works. Like, how do you appeal a time-sensitive thing that has passed already? That's like if you miss your plane, saying, I want a do-over. Okay, well, the plane already flew, buddy. So what does it mean that Trudeau's Debates Commission wants to appeal that emergency injunction? I'm not playing dumb. Like, I'm really not playing dumb. I swear I don't get it. Because the Federal Court of Appeal, they're sober-minded people. They're going to look at the judgment by Justice Russell Zinn. I read the judgment. It just came out a week or two ago. They're going to say, okay, pretty solid reasoning here. You know, he gave a fair hearing to everybody. He made a not unreasonable decision. Could have gone either way, but he made the case for going the way he did. How do you even, like, I think the Federal Court of Appeal is going to smack Trudeau down so hard. Like, I don't even know what grounds. I don't even know how you do that appeal. And if I did, I would tell you. I don't get it. So yeah, my lawyers said that the government called us and said, hey, do you want to settle? And it was the most ridiculous offer. I just thought, boy, they think I'm dumb. Trudeau, let me give you some news here. I know we're switching gears. So Trudeau's lawyers, and he's got a lot of them. He's got the Debate Commission lawyers, and he's got the Justice Department lawyers. I think there were 6 lawyers on the other side that were copied on this email. So Trudeau's lawyers made this offer to us. I'm not even kidding. I'm not kidding. I don't have it in front of me, so I'm going from memory. It said, we will drop our crazy long shot appeal of Justice Zinn's emergency injunction if you drop your ongoing lawsuit against the Debate Commission for being kicked out. Huh? So why would we want to stop them from their running full speed into a brick wall on appealing that emergency injunction that's over it? Like, I don't want to stop. I want this, I got to see this. And I'm not interested in dropping my big judicial review, it's called, of their decision to keep us out. So it was like this doubly weird offer, and I just thought, I don't think I'm that dumb. Do they think? Do I look that dumb? I mean, maybe I look dumb, and maybe sometimes I say or do something dumb, but I don't think I'm that dumb. Imagine them saying, hey, Ezra, we'll do you a favor and drop our appeal of the emergency injunction that's come and gone already. Yeah, mate, that's not doing me a favor. That's you doing you a favor. It's just, you know, and I wrote back like one line to our great lawyers, they're really good lawyers, free speech lawyers, and I said, live free or die, we fight to the end. And so that's a long answer to your question, and we're gonna keep fighting. And we're just gonna, I don't care if it's a censor like Justin Trudeau, if it's a defamer like Dave Barrett, if it's a deplatformer like the folks in Alberta, if it's a intellectual property thief like Hudson's Bay, I don't care. If, God forbid, it's someone who pushes around our reporters like they did to Sheila and like they did to David Menzies, we are going to push back. We're just not gonna be a punching bag. I think it was the Tudor Kings or no, not the Tudors, some other monarchs in the United Kingdom whose motto was, Nemo me impune lacessit. That's Latin, I don't know if my pronunciation's right. That means Nemo, nobody, me impune lacessit. No one cuts me with impunity. You can see the word impune, impunity, lacessit, lacerate, me, and Nemo means no one. Like Finding Nemo means Nemo means no one. Nemo me impune latches it. That's the Scottish. That's like a Scottish motto. No one cuts me with impunity, or as they say in Scots, "Wha dar meddle wi' me." That's terrible, Scottish. But yeah, I just want to do journalism. But if they're going to call us Nazis, we're going to take them to court. If they're going to push our people around, we're going to take them to court. I'm going to wrap up now. I really appreciate the support of you guys. If you want to help us with some of our legal battles, we still do need help for all these many battles. I guess if I had to recommend one, the number one would be stopdeplatforming.com. If you go to stopdeplatforming.com, you can see the lawsuit against all these Antifa types who bullied the theater owner into ripping up the contract with me. That's not allowed. That's called inducing breach of contract. Mad Dog Steve, thanks very much. Sue the CBC for calling rebel media white supremacist. Are you covering Sacha Baron Cohen and the ADL? Yeah, Sacha Baron Cohen, you know, I'll never forget the comedy of him singing the song Throw the Jew Down the Well. Very, very funny, very, very racist humor. Sacha Baron Cohen himself is Jewish. I'm Jewish. I laugh because it was so very funny, but now he's saying he wants to tone police and politically correct police comedy now that he's made it. It reminds me of Sarah Silverman, who, another Jewish person, who actually made Holocaust jokes, and they were very funny, I'm sorry to say. And now, well, it was fine for her, but no one else is allowed to do that. All right, folks, that's it. Thanks for your time today. That's the update. And yeah, I'll just close with Raymond Brace. We've been pushed long enough, time to push back. Exactly. All right, guys, take care. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.